Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carl Perza MMA. Today we got a special guest for you. My guest is getting ready, fighting on the Dana White Contender Series on Tuesday, just a few days away. He's taking on Mr. Cezary Oleksiejczuk. He is Mr. Theo Haigh. Theo, what's up, my friend? How are you, brother?
What's up, man? That was a hell of an intro.
Oh, thank you,
Wasn't expecting that.
man. There you go, man. You know, you've been dominating on the regional scene, 6-0 as a professional, fought in Bellator, fought in the LFA. Well, now you get your chance to fight for the opportunity to fight in the biggest MMA organization in the world. Pretty cool knowing that you're right here. You're knocking on the door.
Yeah, no, it's pretty surreal, but I'm super grateful for the opportunity. You know, it's really really all I can say, you know.
Absolutely. You know, you train with some killers over in California, do a lot of stuff over at AKA. Obviously, some of the greatest fighters ever have been in that gym. You have Islam, you have Habib, Cormier, Rockhold, Koscheck, all these guys. How did you find your path over to AKA?
Dude, I just live close by. I just live close by and um actually there used to be an AKA in Sunnyvale. So that's like 12, 15 miles north of where AKA in Southside is in San Jose. And that was the closest like fighting gym to where I lived. And so I started there, and then I got like just mainly doing cardio kickboxing. And then the owner of the gym talked me into starting jiu-jitsu. So I did that, fucking hated it. It was like, this is not for me. And then after like almost a year, I was like, okay, I'm being a bitch. Like I gotta like I should probably just go and like actually give it some good effort. And then I got, I started making progress. I got better, and then a couple of guys there were fighting out of the main AK in Southside, and they were like, "You want to come along for a couple days of the week?" And I was like, "Yeah." And pretty much how it happened, but really is because I just live close by.
Absolutely. You know, you've been doing great things on the regional scene, man. One thing I love about you, you always go for the finish. You're exciting to watch. You have a lot of finishes. I mean, watching you on the mat is just absolutely unbelievable of what your ground game can do. How much pride do you take in your fighting style?
A lot, a lot. I mean, and not coming in to play fucking games. I'm not like in there to try to tip tap my way into winning a decision. I want to win in the most dominant way possible I can. Um, and to be honest, I'd like to say I'm actually pretty well rounded, but the guys that I've fought I know for a fact their grappling is not as good, so I just take that. I want to win in dominant fashion, but I also want to be smart. I don't want to just, you know, trade if I don't need to. Did that a little in my last fight, and I was spamming a right kick into a Superman punch. Like did that like four times, and I was like, all right, what the fuck am I doing here? Let's let's take this dude down.
You know, so many people are watching this sport in this day and age. I mean, you have UFC shows almost every single weekend. Now you have PFL, bare knuckle, karate combat, all these different things, dirty boxing. Very few people understand what it's like to be a professional fighter. You know, I feel like people watch the Cormiers, the McGregors, the Habibs, and they see the fame, the fortune, the girls, the glory, all that stuff. They don't see, man, when you're battling on the regional scene, a lot of guys have to have a 9-to-5 job. You're not making millions of dollars fighting on the regional scene. You wake up early, you stay up late. You miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, dinners. Hard to date somebody. Hard to have kids. I mean, really, you're doing all this living, breathing, sleeping, fighting, maybe for the opportunity to be like the top 1% and fight on these big promotions. You're right there. You have the opportunity to get there. But what's made you stick through this for all these years?
Um, I I love this sport, and I believe that God gave this to me as a calling, and so I'm just kind of following his directions. If I believe that if I was not meant to be fighting, I would have felt differently about the sport. I would have felt differently about spending um, all of my days away from home between training and then work and training and work and training. Um, but yeah, and also at home, like I've got great support from my wife. You know, like she holds down everything at home with we got a dog and a little boy, so you know it's like everything at home is settled, is handled. You know, I think it also makes a difference that I don't really care about. Well, I mean, I'm fucking married, so I shouldn't care at all about going out and like. It helps that I don't really have distractions like that. Like I just I want to train. I want to get better. I want to win fights. I want to be there for my family. It's a relatively simple life, and I think that that's made it a lot more sustainable. I think there's a lot of guys on the regional scene who don't quite know 100% what they want. Like they'll tell you, "Yeah, I want to be the best in the world. I want to do this and that," and then they show up to train like 2, 3 times a week. They don't do supplemental sessions. They couldn't even tell you what S&C stands for. Like it's you know, that also is like they're probably just not being true to themselves in terms of like what their actual calling is and like what they really want. Maybe they have this image of that they think it'd be nice to be the man, but they don't really like all the shit that gets in the way of actually getting there, which is fine. I mean, it's not for everybody to want to go through all of that to get a shot, but I think it's I don't know if there's any like fighters that actually watch this. Like that sounds kind of rude. I didn't mean that to sound rude, but if there are like for the fighters that are watching this, I think you have to be extremely honest with yourself in terms of how hard you're willing to work and you know what that's going to look like in terms of when you compete.
Absolutely. So where were you at, man, when you got the phone call that you were going to be on the Contender?
I was on my way to go wash some blueberries, and I was hella tired. It was like I just got a screenshot of an email, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I washed my blueberries, and I was like, "Oh, what? Wait, hold on. What do we just see here?" So yeah, that was kind of funny. I like didn't process it until like 5 minutes later.
That's awesome. So in a few days now, Tuesday night, take on Cezary Oleksiejczuk. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent here?
I think he's very skilled. I think he's a very dangerous striker. I think he's got very good slick southpaw tricks that you see a lot of southpaw guys do. And from what I can see, he doesn't like to grapple, which is pretty cool.
So we're finding this one, it's a very unique setting over at the Apex, and I think it's one of the most unique shows in all of mixed martial arts. It's a perfect job interview. You go in there, there's no walkout music. They don't even announce your name. You go straight into it. Hardly any fans. You can hear the coaches really well. What do you think of that environment?
I mean, it's pretty intense, right? But like at the end of the day, like when the you hear that latch on the door come down, like it's the same thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm extremely grateful for like this opportunity, but at the end of the day, it's just another guy trying to take you out, and you got to do it first before he does, just like in every other fight.
Absolutely. For you, what would it mean to be able to find the UFC?
It'd be incredible. Be be a hell of a journey. I was just thinking back. I think like 2 weeks after I fight, I'll have been clean for like 8 years, and then I was rewinding the time 8 years back, and I was like, just thinking, fuck. I think by the time this fight, on the day of this fight, I'm pretty sure I was still smoking crack 8 years ago. It's just be a pretty wild thing to have accomplished because I didn't even really expect to be. alive past 24.
You know, one thing about mixed martial arts is a very common recurring theme that I see here of attacking the fighters. A lot of guys tell me, you know, when they first got into the sport, they were going down a bad road. Things weren't going good. They were making bad life choices. They started MMA. They learned values. They learned discipline. They learned morals, turned the person they are today. How have you grown involved from this journey?
A lot of that. A lot of that. I mean, like, I didn't really realize how disciplined I could truly be. Didn't actually realize I could be disciplined at all. But yeah, it it gives you really good structure, and it's very intense. So it's good for, you know, filling that void that some people feel. Um, yeah, it's, I mean, everybody loves fighting too. You know, like people who are really well put together and have like great 9 to 5s and very, well, more like conventional lifestyles. Like everybody loves fighting. Like some of those guys are really good fighters. One of the first guys that was a huge inspiration to me was, I'm pretty sure he's still like pretty high up at Google and still actively competes in jiu-jitsu as a black belt, and he's killing it. His name's David Mitchell. He's awesome.
Very cool. For you, do you think that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
Dude, that's a good question, man. It's definitely a little bit of both, right? Uh, I think it depends. I think it's more mental, but if you do not have the physical to carry you through that, or to sustain your technique, which is the mental side of it, then your technique really isn't worth anything.
You know, are you envisioning that possible moment after the fight? You, four other winners beside you, Dana White saying, "Kid, come over here, get your contract."
Uh, yeah, maybe not in that exact way, but yeah, something like that.
Absolutely, man. You know, for you, obviously, you mentioned that you have a kid of your own. What do you want him to take away, or he or she to take away from this journey?
Um, from the whole journey, I think from start to finish, I think I just love to be able to show him that, you know, with God, you can do anything. Doesn't matter where you are, how bad you think you messed up, as long as you're willing to um, stand by Him, like, you know, live righteously and just be your absolute best self that you can be. You can make anything out of yourself.
Absolutely. You know, before we wrap up here, one thing I want to do is I want to go through some big UFC fights. I want to get your predictions. Who do you think's going to win some of these big matchups?
All
So we got a
right.
big Noche one coming up here soon. We got Gian Silva. He's fighting Diego Lopez. Who do you think wins that one?
That's crazy. Dude, I feel like, oh, actually, not to be a dick here, but like I kind of hope Diego Lopez wins because I'm pretty sure uh, my opponent is training out of Fighting Nerds. So based off that alone, I honestly do think that Diego Lopez is probably going to take it too, just because he's gotten cracked. He has a chin. He looks like he thrives in chaos, and I think he's a little bit more technical within that chaos than John Silva is. Um, so yeah, based off of team and skills, Diego Lopez.
Absolutely. So we got another one that recently got announced. Big middleweight contest. We got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Rainier de Ritter. Who wins that one?
Dude, that one's crazy because they both got great cardio. They both got real good grappling. I think RDR probably has better hands. Dude, that was a toss up. Yeah, I, the funny thing is, I've seen that fight. I've seen like the Instagram of that fight like 17 times, and I've never once asked myself who I think is gonna win. I just see it, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good fight.
I think the fans will win
Uh,
that one.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if I can give you a answer there. It's 50-50, honestly.
Yeah, definitely a tight one. So the last one we're going to do here, we got a big rematch of the 205 division. We got Alex Chama Pereira taking on Magomedov Ankalaev once again. Second time we run it, who wins it?
I honestly think, okay, if Pereira is healthy and he goes out there and imposes his will from the jump, I do think Pereira gets it. If Ankalaev is like going to decide to really force the grappling, then I think he takes it. It's very hard to tell though, like in that fight, because it's kind of one of those fights that is going to go one of two ways, right? Like last time it went Ankalaev, we kind of just like held him on the fence most of the time, but still won. Whereas like the RDR Fluffy fight is like who did you have no idea what's going to happen there. Um, Although neither of them are hard punchers, so like they have knockouts and stuff, but they're not like one hitter quitters. So I think that one's just going to be like a brutal 5 rounder, which I feel like Fluffy. Actually, now that I think about it, I feel like Fluffy could probably keep his base better and then win by decision, but it's hard to tell. Yeah, I think if I had to make definitive answers, the first one Diego Lopez, the second one Fluffy, um, and third one. I don't know. Third one might be the hardest one. Maybe Ankalaev.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, we just matched some of the biggest names in the sport. Obviously, you've trained with some of the biggest names in the sport. When you're watching these big fights, you see these big names. Does that motivate you to get inspiration off of it?
Not so much, dude. The biggest motivation is just winning and getting better. Um, when I watch, dude, to be honest, I don't actually watch a lot of fights because the main events are all at like 11 p.m. And if I wake my kid up right now, who's like not even a year old at 11 p.m., it's dude, a whole apartment complex is burning down. It's whole gonna be a disaster. Um, that and like I also have like a really strict schedule, and so like to be up that late is kind of tough. But um, yeah, it's this one thing where you see like either hand raise, win a title. It's definitely motivating, but um, I don't tend to like get that much extrinsic motivation. A lot of it is just like I don't want that. It's like I want to win myself. Like it's not like I look at someone and think like, oh, I want what they have, or like I want a big car, I want a big house. All that shit would be nice, but it's like first and foremost, I feel like the desire to win has to come from inside.
Absolutely. You know, I mentioned earlier, so many fans are watching this sport in this day and age. And, you know, now we have a term for some of these fans called the casual fan. You know, I think all fans are good, but, you know, if you ever go to B dubs, you cheap seats of the fight, you might hear twist them. And then, you know what? Read some crazy
Yeah.
comments, Instagram, Facebook. For you, man, what do you make of all this stuff?
Uh, I mean, you can't stop people from saying dumb shit. Might as well just let them be ignorant. But also, like as someone who's grappling in all of his fights, like yeah, people are gonna hate on me. It's all good. Hey, at
Uh,
least I get finishes though. I'm not just a wet blanket out there.
Absolutely. All right, Theo, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome Tuesday night when you find the Dana White Contender Series against Cezary Oleksiejczuk?
Dude, perfect outcome. We both take one step out there. I hit him with a jab and he goes to sleep. Perfect.
Oh, there you go. Let's see if we can make it a perfect reality. But Theo, man,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking time out of your training camp. Talk to me. I know the fight's in a couple days. Very honored to talk to you and can't wait to watch you fight, my brother.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's good to talk to you.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Peruzes, Mr. Theo Haigh. Watch him. Dana White Contender Series on Tuesday, taking on Cezary Oleksiejczuk. Have fun, fight fans.